All right. Click off this. And I shall click that. Oh, I can hear myself. I can hear myself. Surprise, surprise, that actually worked. That's kind of weird. I was not expecting Instagram to work, but Instagram's working. So that's all good. And live video. No, we're good for video. And we'll pop over to. The question is now, am I actually live over on a YouTube? I don't think I'm live after all this. Nope, now I'm live on YouTube. Roger that. I turn off all these sounds. I can keep hearing myself over and over. Oh, today, what are we doing today, Philip? Well, today we're going to be playing the new DLC for Kingdom Come Deliverance. The name is just below, where we start it anyway. I don't know if we'll be finishing it today, but we'll get a start on it if I can hear myself, because I've done the sound in such a strange way where I don't think I can hear the sound. So I'll play around and experiment a wee bit. Because what I might do is have the laptop sound go off here. That's what Philip might have to do. Yeah, do you know what? That seems like a good plan. I will disconnect that to that later on. And then we'll just go off. Do you know what? We'll try it now. Right. Hopefully the audio still works. Right, so we're going to put here. Okay, that works. That works for Philip. And what else is Philip going to do? You see, I only realized it when we went live that the sound is funny. And what else does Philip need to do? Right, we're going to test this. Where's the settings to test? There it is. They always put these settings in the weirdest places. Ah, yeah. See, it says it's grand, right? So hopefully somebody out in the world can hear me perfectly fine. Bum, bum, bum. Right. If anybody within my click is definitely watching, give us an all comment that you can hear me or still hear me. And I shall be rambling complete and utter shite as I wait. I've got another bit of downloading to do. It's always just before I go live that it's just like, okay, time to start downloading a load of waffle. And I'm like, thanks. Cheers for that. I might make myself a wee drink as well, perhaps. But I'll wait for this to get up and going first. Bum, bum, bum. Before I do anything major fancy. Instagram is so quick. Like, people will literally go in and go offline again, you know? Bum, bum, bum. Instagram and live is just funny. How do people normally go live on Instagram? I've got nobody on Instagram. I had a good few people for a few seconds, and then they all disappeared again. I don't know what the crack is with Instagram at all and how its live streaming stuff works. Although my YouTube is not far off dead as well. Free Palestine, free Saddam. Oh, aye, Christ is king. Although, are we allowed to say that on YouTube? With you know who watching? Bum bum bum. Christ is king. Bum bum bum. Bum, bum. It's funny actually, because it's funny you bring up Free Palestine, Free Saddam, because this DLC today has the Teutonic Order, who were fighting against Lithuania. I'm a huge Teutonic Order fan, so hopefully I should be able to. That's finished. Right. How's Jim? How are you keeping? How's Hex as well? Are we all doing well today? I wonder if it's better if I go in and out of this setup here. That's fully downloaded, by the way. So I'll be able to jump in there and hopefully today we'll be able to get a hold of some Teutonic armor. I really want some Teutonic armor. That would be so class, especially Teutonic armor of the 15th century. That would be absolutely amazing. So getting a hold of that today would be good. Jim, how are you keeping today? No beer. Ooh, I suppose it's still during the week though, so it's not too bad. Right. Do you know what? I'll press this button and we'll see if this button does everything for me. Oh shit, that's the wrong one. Actually, it doesn't matter anyway. Actually, it will because I think Twitch will tell me off if I have the wrong title. Give us a quick second there. Oh shit. Didn't I press the wrong button twice? Right, we'll try that again before, what was it called? Twitch tells me off. Right, we'll change this to KCD2 Irishman Play. That'll work for that one. Actually, that reminds me, do I have the right? Right, that's starting to broadcast there, right? And that's okay for the time being. There may be a delay because I'm using a whole load of stuff all at once. What else do I need to fly over and do? Oh, I need to make sure I'm getting the money. How's that? Jim, are you working or are you just enjoying life? Bum, bum. What else do I need to do? Oh yeah, I need to check. What is going on? Can I not just? I don't like it when they make changes because like I suddenly need to do something and everything's all over the place. Like most of the time when changes happen to social media platforms, it's because a guy was paid to make things better and he can't make things any better. So he just moves everything around the place, which annoys everybody. Like, and this is the case here again. Like, what is going on? Because this used to be all rolled up perfectly and now it's just all over the place. I just want to make sure I'm being paid on YouTube. That's what I want to do. Instagram, we know we're faked. Although I'm doing quite well on Instagram right now. I just hit 8,000 on Instagram. Of course, I want to keep booming, get up to that 10K. Content, that would be the one. You see, I had to go ass ways to get around. Live. It's a good thing I checked because no, I wasn't getting paid. But I know everything else is set up, so that's grand. You are using a steaming software. Yeah, sure am. And how's everyone keeping? Thanks for all the wishes and everything coming in there, guys. I wish there was an Irish Kingdom come game. That would be the greatest. They said that they want to bring out a Viking one next. They might bring out a continuation of this one, which is the Teutonic Order, which, funny enough, this DLC is covering. So we're going to find out today where they're going to go with that one, because I really would love if Henry went off and became a Teutonic Knight, but we'll see at the end of this DLC perhaps. And yeah, we'll see what they do with the Viking one. There is more Viking stuff coming out, and it's like I always think it's mad in the head if you do something that's Viking set in the North Atlantic and you don't do Dublin. Like that's why I just, for the life of me, I could not understand the Viking TV show, which by the way was filmed in Ireland, and most of it was set in the North Atlantic Sea. But what happened is when they were supposed to cover the history of Dublin, because the Russia was popular at the time within Viking history, they decided to cover Rus history. But sure, did not bite them in the ass then when the Ukrainian-Russia war kicked off. So they regret not covering Dublin history after all. So, oh well, tough luck on them. Oh, I live in the dream. You're either working or you're living the dream. That's the truth of the matter, you know. unless you're a workaholic. But in my opinion, you're only a workaholic if you own your own business, you know? And sure, if you own your own business, you know, you might as well be unemployed. The way you have to be doing everything by yourself. Do you know what I mean? You're not a slave on a collar in many ways. Um, bum, bum. And what else do we have? Ah, pretty difficult there. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, keep it lit, Jim. If you ever need somebody to have an old chat with, definitely send me an old comment anyway. Mostly doing this unless I'm with the old wife. I think the only time I'm not having a chat with everybody is definitely when the wife comes home from work and everything. I just spend it because it's pretty distracting for the wife if I'm like on the phone or on this or on that and stuff. So and I like chatting away to the old wife because she's a huge history nerd like myself. Would you have a very, very bad Jim? Oh yeah, I'm over here, aren't I? Let's see. Ah, there we go. We got it up and going there.
Bum bum bum.
Right. Now I
And what
click
else
on
do we
that one.
have?
Ah, yeah, that's much better. And how does that look on this
Ah,
side? Ah, yeah, sure,
pretty
that's
difficult
much
there.
better. Can I suppose. Oh yeah.
Bum bum
And how's that
bum.
look on that side? I should. We're flying now with that one.
Yeah,
And you guys can all hear me fine as well. I think
keep
we're
it lit. I mean,
flying,
no
to be honest
comments
with you.
anyway. Mostly doing this.
Or
Unless
do you want the screen to be bigger? How's that look? Ah, sure, that's a bit too much now. And how's this?
with the old wife. I
That's
think the only
grand, but it's a bit
time
small,
I'm
don't you
not having a
think?
chat with everybody is
That's
definitely
much
when
better, I
the
think, maybe.
wife
And how's this one? Well, I'm just playing with buttons now.
comes home from work and
That's pretty
everything.
much the same.
I just spend it because
And how's this one? Oh yeah, we were saying that's too zoomed in.
it's pretty distracting for the wife if
You
I'm
got
like on the
looping
phone or
audio. Ah, right. Do you know how we fix this? There we go. Cheers for saying that to me there. I think that will stop the looping audio. I have people watching me over on Twitch. Are they mad? They need to move over to my YouTube there. Dude, just saw your Irish warfare and cowboy warfare. It's true though. I was there looking at cowboy warfare because I was talking to Celtic Templar. So I ends up because he's from Texas as well. So I ends up looking at cowboy warfare for a wee bit. And what's the difference? What's the difference between cowboy warfare and Irish medieval warfare? I can't find any differences. It's the same thing going on. But I just have a quick scan of what this thing says here. It is like, do you know? It's only a matter of a fact. Right. The season extra. Everything's on now. Oh, nice. What's that one? I don't think I've gotten that one before. A Patreon's coat. I don't even think I had that price before. It must be new. I think I got everything else. Oh, that one's where oh, the Reet. That was a Japanese exclusive, but now I have a Henry's blacksmith apron. I don't think I had that before. Ultra was Irish. I found wide DNA proof. He appears to be Are you talking about Ultra from Bevan in Northumberland? Is that the one you're talking about? Unicorn. But there's massive connections between Northumberland, the Enel, and also the Ullid. So that doesn't surprise me, to be quite honest with you. Like, you know. There's massive, massive amount of connections between the two, you know? The men of the Ulid. Where's that realm at? But there's not just raiding going on, but as you said there as well, the religious missions going on between the two. But what was it? It starts off as religious missions, very small religious missions, and also raiding and stuff. But then, like as time goes on, you have, especially around the 7th century, you have massive battles going on between the two. Like some of the biggest battles in medieval history happens around the 7th century between the Anglo-Saxons and the Irish, where they're just raising these humongous war bands and sending it up to northern England from the Irish side, and also from the English, well, the Anglo-Saxon side, sending it over to the Ulid Enail side as well. So not only are we dealing with large-scale raids coming into the 7th century, but we have massive battles as well during the Golden Age. And this is the Golden Age of Ireland, like. I'm back anyway. As you can see, I did feck all with the house. Oh, I don't even know where I am. But, Jesus. I was hearing barking there. I didn't know where the barking was coming from. Now then. I think the only problem we're actually having here is my sound. What we could do actually is capture settings, include your mic's audio. Can we turn that off? Oh no, I don't want that. Anyway, I can just. Oh, do you know what I can do actually? That's the one. That's the one. That's how you fix that. Now I can have that, and we can have that there.
Now then, I think the only problem we're actually having here is
Bern. She was also from Aragon as well. Her mother was from Aragon, and her father was just around Wicklow, Dublin. You know, and yeah.
What we could do actually.
Some mad memories flashing back all at once. Tell me if that's too quiet or too loud on the. I'll put it about here, 24%. If that's too quiet or loud.
Capture
not dressed properly. Give us a second. I haven't looked at my character for a while. How do I press these buttons again? Oh, well, there you go.
Can we turn that off?
Do you want to keep your current equipment or put on the outfit you were wearing before? Return? Oh, yeah, that's much better. I don't know why I would have anything else, to be honest with you. And how do I switch outfits again? I'm trying to remember these buttons. Ah, there we go. Flying.
Walk around like this.
All right, we'll go back to this one. And I need to go and have a wash because my character is pretty manky. Bum. I remember the younger sons of the chiefs and kings might have found more status in the church. That's interesting, isn't it? Because you had Brian Boru was put into the church, wasn't it? You can't. Oh right, I looked pretty manky in the photo though, didn't I? Yeah, Brian Boru was in. Is that sound perfect, by the way? What do you think of the sound? But Brian Boru is an interesting one when it comes down to that one, because of the fact he was put into the church. But of course, what happened is that most of his brothers were killed off in the blood feud against Limerick. And so he was taken out of the church in Kerry, and he ends up becoming, obviously, the, I suppose, he was anyway, or I found out, but I always find the direct translation of King of the Dalcash funny. It's the same thing with a lot of these direct translations. I find, when I do my research and stuff, I'm not like the King of Irish or anything, to be honest with you, but when I do my research and I translate it over, I find the word, direct translations are always quite funny in my opinion, But regardless, he was kind of chieftain of the Dalcash, although it says King of Dalcash. And he ended up winning that blood feud, didn't he, against the men of Limerick with Ivor of Limerick. And Ivor of Limerick ran off to get sanctuary inside of the church, and he was chopped up. There he is, pilgrimage to the world as usual. Oh, aye. Absolutely no problems for me. Doing a wee bit of chopping up. But what are we doing next? Well, I'll jump on my horse anyway. That would be a good start. Since I now remember where I am. And what we want to do now is... What I want to do anyway, I want to head over to church. So we can start this DLC. And it's this button. I'm trying to remember the buttons now. Hopefully I don't get myself chopped up. It's... yeah, there we go. How do we start the DLC though? Oh yeah, that was the other DLC. And journal. I don't know if that's a side mission though. What's the crack, lad? Oh, 1 second. I forgot Jim's message there. I still like the idea of submitting to a young... Jim, you're a relentless man. Do you know that? Like, do you know? Thank God. I don't know how you managed to not get me into trouble, but you do. You're probably a few people that literally gets as far as the line, holds the line, but never goes past it, you know? That's my one swear word gone for the stream anyway. Anyway, regardless. And what else was I waffling on about just there? Oh yeah, fucking people on YouTube. Jim, you always stop short of the line, and you hold the line there, but you never go completely past the line. A lot of people I've been talking to on YouTube and stuff, they'll go way past the line. The line is non-existent for a lot of people, and the swear words and everything else to be doing, it's like, geez, you know there's a line there, you know, and if you go past that line, I have to boot you out or I don't get paid, you know. Some people are absolutely wild. What's the crack, lad? Haven't seen you gaming in a while. Yeah, I wasn't getting paid, so I was like, well, there's no point doing this if I'm not getting paid. And it's not just that as well. It's just it takes up a lot of time where I could be doing the shorts, and the shorts had a bit better payoff. To be honest with you, I like doing both live streaming, and it takes up a lot of time to organize myself for the live streaming. Do you know? So if I'm not getting paid, it's like, what's the point? But I seem to have everything sorted now, and it was yesterday. There we go. Yesterday, I got the confirmation letter from YouTube that I exist as a human being. So, you know, it seems to be they're doing their final checks, and it seems to be we're all going forward now. Like, you know, I was talking to a fella. They had me for a good 2 or 3, 4 years, and it ended up they were telling me for ages there was no problem from their line. It was their side. Oh Jesus, I have some cough on me. I'm gonna have to get myself a drink in a second. But they were saying it was my fault for me not getting paid and stuff. And I couldn't understand it for the life of me. I did every single check. And I was talking to a fella, it was the start of this month, and he was like, "Oh, this is very strange. Let me go do the checks there." Really nice fella and everything. And he's doing all the checks properly, correctly, and he's really taking his time here. Unlike everybody else who's like, "Oh, well, it's your fault, go away," and just probably jumps back on Facebook again. But this fella goes on anyway, and he's doing his checks on YouTube, and he gets as far as the number. And lo and behold, he's checking the number, and guess what? Somebody had put in a 6 instead of an 8. And that's why it wasn't picking up my YouTube channel to then connect it to the AdSense that would then eventually pay me. You know, and he said this to me. He said it was the weirdest thing ever. And I was explaining to him that I was getting dismissed. And he was like, "Oh, well, no shock there, you know, off some people." And I was like, "Oh, right. That's it." Cheeky, like. The biggest problem with both Discord and YouTube is that you have a lot of admin and stuff that behave like a god of some sort. You know, most of these lads, they're only 20 years of age, acting like God. And so they just don't do their correcting and stuff correct, you know. Too busy on Facebook or something. I don't know what's their problem, you know. But it's fixed now anyway. The man who checked it the start of last month fixed everything, like, you know. So we're on the go when it comes down to getting paid finally. And sounds good, interesting. I didn't know that about him. Yeah. What was it called? I've got a fierce cough today. Just a second there. But yeah, fostering and going into the church, the monastic sound. What era was that? I'm assuming that's going into the high Middle Ages or the late medieval period. I'm assuming that's most likely 15th, 16th century, that one there, the example that you have going. Adult Wolf of Babian Burn is Ulfred's earliest ancestor strange. Gets a bit slow there. And for his daughter to King Aile, but no mention of his father. Ulfred's ancestors are mentioned. What year do you have the year date for that one? Because that's normally how I find my way around the annals. Especially, I'm assuming that's the annals of Ulster. Oh, the annals of Clonmacnoise. Oh, that's very fascinating. Anyone else have the Clonmacnoise? Have I looked at how is the annals of Clonmacnoise on the ucc.ie? I'm just a cocky Irish American, proud Irish American. I won't cross the line. I know that. I'm getting ready to cross. You see, but Jim, this is the thing. At least you have the common sense to run up as far as the line for a bit of banter and then turn around again. You know, you're not getting me kicked off of YouTube. Like, the amount of people, and they come straight onto the channel and they just, 1,000 miles an hour running past the line. And sometimes it's pretty cheeky. Like, I'll be doing the live stream on the Wednesday, which is going to be tomorrow, by the way. Tomorrow we're doing Who Are the Anglo-Irish, which, by the way, I still have to put up the sources and stuff of. And what was it called? I'm the one who has to do the administration for that and the sorting out of the camera work and everything, right? While the two boys just get to put the feed up and just enjoy themselves. And I'll be listening away, and I'm about to make a statement or something about something, and I have to control Owen's camera movement and stuff, and then suddenly somebody will go running past, as we're calling it, the line, and say something just completely wild that you know a mile away YouTube is just gonna go wild and mad at you for. So some people are just cheeky as hell, and I don't even know what it is for, because I kicked them off, and eventually with too many complaints, they'll just end up losing their YouTube channel because of how abusive they are on the thing. Sure, then they have to go off and make another one. So, like, why? How is it even worth being abusive on the server? Do you know? Some people are just mad. They just like watching the world burn. The 12th century. That's interesting, because that's the era of the reform of the church. Yeah, that's when all the reforming of the church was happening. But what's even interesting again is, would that be before the coming of the Normans on the island, when it was Armagh? Because Armagh is controlling the reform of the church until Strongbow invades. Sorry, no, not Strongbow. Henry II. When Henry II comes in, and they have the Synod of Cashel. I think Synod of Cashel is 1172. So in 1172, they have the Synod of Cashel. And that's when Canterbury takes over the running of the church in Ireland, which causes huge problems, you know. Of course it does. Like, right. How do I start this DLC? I wonder. Track that one. What's this one then? I'm assuming this is the guild one I already started. Okay. We'll come back to that one. And I'm assuming this is the one I need to do, I guess. I'm not sure. Give us 1 second there. Well, give an old, what was it called? Dun, 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 bum, bum, bum. Purple icon. We definitely don't have a purple icon. Is there a purple icon on the screen? Give us a second. I'll put on my proper armor there in a second. Right. I'm messing up all these buttons. There we go. Oh, I see it. Yeah, purple icon is there. And we'll put a... There we go. Right. That's where we actually need to go. Bum, 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 bum. I guess David McMorrow commissioned some church building. I think the German architect. Yeah, that's wild about the German architects in Ireland. I have to really follow up on that one, because then it goes into the whole fun of the secret societies and the Illuminati, because of the fact that a lot of them were the stonemasons that end up dominating a lot of the guilds and stuff, from my understanding. And they get knocked over. Nope, it's grand. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. I should go over here a wee bit more. Give us 1 second there. I nearly ran over too. Hi Philip, a recent subscriber to your channel. I've been trying to get back into history a lot more since I finished my master's in 2020. Your content has helped. Keep it up. Thanks so much, man. That means an absolute life for me. Bum, bum. What did you do your master's in? Just out of curiosity. Whoa. I don't know if I'm going the right way. I could see a quick second there. I'm going to move this slightly. I wonder if any of the connections might have, due to the Irish monks traveling to mainland Europe. Yeah. Yeah. If any connections might have been. Yeah. I'm trying to think now, because there's definitely connections, especially with Switzerland. The Irish monks seem to really dominate what's happening in Switzerland at the time. This guy is really awkward spot, isn't he? Do I have to go into the house and then into the back of the house, I wonder? Whoa. We'll click here. Oh, what old churches did you look into? I'm going to go into the front of the house and then make my way to the back. I think that's what you're supposed to do. That's not how you get off a horse, by the way. There you go. All right. Well, I won't be taking the front door and going back, that's for sure. How are you keeping, sir? Oh, my nose. There's a lagging between the game and the... There's definitely a lag in between the game and what was it called? My stream for sure, isn't there? Or is it upstairs? It's going to be one of them missions where you have to find your way around. And I'm just leaving all the doors open. This fellow you're supposed to talk to. I'm glad to see you too. Praise the Lord. General History Masters. Oh. Oh, that's interesting. What did well, what was it called? Gerald of Wales, I reckon, would be quite interesting, alright, like, you know, because it's Gerald of Wales. But what's William's interpretation of the world? Quite interesting about that, actually. It took forever to get a second tester at the stage, but my Murphy of Masters.
Henry, my boy, I'm glad to see you.
There's nothing wrong with an old American spelling.
Praise the Lord. The Lord be praised, Henry.
What was his fort? Oh, yeah. He had the fortress up in the north, east of the map, wasn't it? Can't remember what the name of his fortress is.
Henry, how you doing?
I'll gladly help. I haven't got much time, but go ahead. No.
But the stench of it doesn't fade so easily.
More happy to help.
And more to the point,
how's my Instagram doing?
Sorry you had to abandon your fortress.
Hello from Tokyo. My ancestors are nice, Irish, nice. A lot of people said hello. I just ignored them.
Life goes on.
Anyway, sir, I don't mean to be rude.
I'm actually in Japan right now, so aha. I am their ancestors. They just don't know
Let
it.
me get to the point. I need help.
That person's gone, like.
But I have no one to ask. Even though I know you have a lot on your
I
plate.
haven't had the pleasure to reach.
I'd be happy to offer my services. What's it about?
An old friend of mine reached out to me. Albik of Unichov. Does the name ring a bell?
William did like. A bad Christian in his interpretation. That's interesting, all right. Like, he's not like Gerald of Wales. By the way, this is how I talk when I'm doing shorts. I do like 10 shorts, and half the time I'm tripping over my own tongue. But regardless, yeah, it seems to be quite opposite to Gerald of Wales. So, well, not a complete opposite, but yeah, Gerald of Wales is quite trigger happy, isn't he? On condemning anyone that's pretty much against his own family, especially if they're all of a different group, ethnic group, or anything like, you know.
That the king has fallen seriously ill while imprisoned in Vienna.
Oh yeah. 1 second. I have a really bad spot on my back. Got it last night.
Maybe.
Sounds like a good idea.
Damn.
Just a second. I'm just experimenting and playing with this one.
Serious.
When Master Albec heard about it, he decided to act.
He wants to go all the way to Vienna to see the king.
No. For now, he's heading to Sedlitz. Abbot Jan holds considerable influence at Sigismund's court. Albec wants to visit him and ask for his intercession.
Makes sense. You can't just show up in Vienna and knock on the door.
A mediator is needed. Only, I don't know if Albec...
What's that got to do with me?
A particularly shrewd figure, and might well use Albec's visit to his own advantage.
It's just a delay of 10 seconds on this one. It's not too bad.
As I said, it's a matter
Between this Twitch and, well, where I'm streaming. And what was the other bloody
I'm
thing?
more worried about Albec. It took some effort, but I convinced him to wait, at least until I find him a reliable escort. And believe me, it wasn't easy. That mule's got a scholar's head, but it's a stubborn one.
What's that got to do with you?
Albec and I go way back. He's been living over the Alps for a few years, studying at the university in Padua. As soon as I heard about Wenceslas, I asked him to come back. It's a serious matter, and when it comes to the king's health, he's the best there is. But I didn't expect him to act so rashly.
Can you tell me more about the abbot? Sorry, but it sounds like you're afraid of him. I met him.
My wife has an old Irish settler of what became...
Not quite. We had dealings once. Something with bones.
It's interesting, all right, like...
Go on.
Look, Henry, every high-ranking cleric's a politician in his own way.
Put that in so people over on Instagram can see that one too. Anyone who pops in anyway, like...
Claim their vocation is divine will. He sees it somewhat the other way around.
I don't really get it.
It's only natural for an abbot or a bishop to
All
question
right.
the morality of his acts. One must act, even if it means confession and penance later. Abbot Jan, though, seems to think that his every move and scheme is divine will itself, and that could be dangerous.
So, if I've got this straight, you want me to escort Wenceslas's court physician to the Sedlitz monastery, where they don't usually let anyone in. And the abbot is as thick as thieves.
Right.
So Albec, who was dead
We'll
set on
do
going
the
himself,
settings for
can try to
this.
get access to the imprisoned Wenceslas.
No, I actually...
God, he's doing pretty much everything.
That's exactly...
Check physician. Can I, if I switch over to
Alright.
this on order, I wonder if it's a better
Last time I was at the
thing for
monastery,
what
it
I'm up
was,
to now.
Quite an experience.
Experience?
That's a long
Check for this thing's still catching up there, but
Stop by Albec's
we'll
place,
catch
will you?
over to this
He lives
one.
across the street with the quack.
I wonder if any other Irish names might have been found in France with.
Tarmac.
They're releasing so many new. Have you gone? Are you in Ireland right now, or are you over in the States?
All right.
Because they have
I'll
a
be in your debt.
what was it called exhibit right now, don't they? On the monastic books of the early medieval period, because they have all of the Irish manuscripts, not just from what was it called? Not just from Ireland, but also from Switzerland as well. The Irish medieval scripts that was worked upon by was it Gall who was working on them? Saint Gall. He ends up he went over with Saint Columbanus, and they went over to the Alps, well, northern Italy and stuff, And St. Gall refused to go over the Alps, so he ends up over in Switzerland, which, you know, I thought would be tougher to live in, to be honest with you. Would you not just get the Alps over and done with? But no, he didn't. He never went over the Alps. So he ends up spending the rest of his life in the Alps, compared to Saint Columbanus, Saint Columbanus, who went over to the Milan area and started writing letters of complaints to the papacy. He started complaining about the papacy being too corrupted. Right. This is the guy we're looking for, isn't it? The Czech physician, lawyer, and Archbishop of Prague from 1399. That's interesting because that's the same period where Archmacmur Cavenant had defeated Richard II's forces. By 1411, he was teaching medicine. So for somebody of the church, he's very, very active within the community, especially on the educated side of things. He was teaching medicine at the medical facility, Charles University at Prague. Seriously, I'd love to go off to Prague, see all the medical stuff there. But yeah, that's who we're after. As the game clearly gives us an understanding that this guy is quite educated in the field. Oh, aye. Right. I just need to go outside. Hope it is. She's very dark in here, isn't it? Where's my shtick? Oh, I put that away anyway. And oh, I'm missing fire. 1 second. Where's my torch? Do I have a torch? No. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I have it here. Right quick. Well, I'm trying to remember all these buttons again. Oh, go away. No, that's definitely the wrong button. First, probably wondering why I'm having a panic attack here. Pretty sure oh, there we go. I always forget which one's the torch because I naturally assume the torch should be hold down the right button, and it's actually hold down the up button. Opposite way around. Have you been to Prague? I'd love to go over there. Although I reckon you'd have all the Kingdom Come fans on top of you like there's no tomorrow. Vienna is another place I need to get to as well. But I've been over in Asia for so long. Jesus. Right, this said just cross the road and go in here, didn't it?
Mutt!
I think I've been in here a few times robbing everything. No, look inside here. It should be inside here. Good afternoon. Elbeck. That's how you pronounce his name. All right. Lord Peter of Pisek. Bum 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 bum. Right, we'll turn that off. And what else do I need the blastering do? Press the old. Oh, he's going to over to the neighbor, so he quite literally is at the neighbor's house. She's the finest wares. What's this button do? Ah, yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
I literally have everything hanging off of my face.
I'm looking for Master Albic. I heard he lives here.
That's right. But he's not in
Speak with him. Is he upstairs or something?
What do you want from him?
I've got a letter for him from Lord Peter of Peace.
Been to it twice. My
You
girlfriend.
know when he'll be back?
No idea. He went over to the neighbors
I think that's the case for everyone at this point.
in quite a rush. The women of the house sent
Look, you have easy, quick pick.
apparently their mate's unwell.
Albic is treating a
I wonder why the door is
Well,
plastered and locked. That's not good.
That's just the kind of man he is.
Who are these neighbors?
Just
That's very
housefolk.
nice.
Same as any around here. They live 2 doors down towards the square.
That's all I needed. Thanks.
Leb wohl, mein Herr.
She's just making a baby there. Oh, it's off to a bad start.
Master Albic. Shh. I was sent by...
I don't know how you got in, but be quiet now.
Sir Peter of Peace.
Ba-bum. Here's Lord's letter.
Be quiet. I need and I demand silence. And you, please. Deep breaths. Sound clean. I have a potion made for you. Take it every morning and night, and stay in bed for a few more days.
They say you want to see the king. Aren't you afraid to go alone? Look at this option here.
I'll speak with her. What you need is rest.
Switch over this one. Boop.
Next
That's my
time,
change there.
please don't interrupt me. I need
It's a bit
peace
too
for my
big
work.
though.
I'm sorry.
What's this one?
I didn't realize.
Well, it doesn't matter now. You said Lord Pisek sent you, didn't you? I think I know what this is about.
Yeah, 15th century is absolutely amazing, to be quite honest with you. Even in Ireland, where you have, like, Ireland has just come out of the Archmacmore Covenant,
Let's have a look.
smashing the English out of it in Leinster.
Here it is.
And then the Fitzgeralds and the Butlers end up taking over the Irish Parliament. Between this period until around
Yes, yes. Peter and I
1450.
had a bit of a
Honestly, guys, we'll
disagreement
fight here.
about this matter last time. Look, Henry.
Until about 1450. Ireland is pretty much in a decent place unless you go over to fight in the 100 Years' War
Yes.
between Talbot and Joan of Arc.
And I hope Abbot
But it's
Young
funny because
likes
the
it.
Irish are also fighting Talbot in the Butler-Talbot feud.
It's a chance. And my conscience won't let me waste it.
I do find the Butler-Talbot feud very, very funny because the Irish forces are fighting the English, but the Irish declare that they're not fighting the king, so they're not really at war with England. So, like, they'll take holidays and stuff over to England, while Talbot's military forces in France fighting the French.
Sigismund. He's gone already.
Talbot being the head of the military force at the time,
His influence.
after the death of Henry V.
Who to trust?
I don't believe Sigismund would do
I
it.
guess the Murphys killed a lot of butlers for the McCarthys.
Sent me a personal
For
card.
the 15th century, that's not entirely the case. obviously you've got blood feuds and stuff between the various clans at that point, but it is.
You mean me?
You do, like, don't get me wrong, you still have
Well,
clan
not
on
in the
clan
worst
fighting,
case,
but
I'll
the
just
most
see
of the
what you're made
fighting
of.
for this era, if you're talking about specifically in this era,
So,
the most
finally
fighting is actually
decided to
the
come
Talbot Butler feud, which is so funny because, in many regards, the Butler Talbot feud is sort of like the
time.
English versus
I
the
will be
Irish.
kept waiting in the
But
streets
Butler
like some
reckons he's
mangy
very
mutt.
loyal
I've
to the
told you
English
several
king
times
himself.
already.
And
I'm busy.
Because you're
multiple
wasting time on
times,
some wench
it's
instead of
highlighted
helping
he's not
someone who
at
actually
war with the King
matters.
of England.
No
He's at
person
war
is
with
more
Talbot.
important than
But
any
Talbot is the head of the English military.
Good.
Do you
I'll
know?
pretend I didn't
So in
hear
many,
that
and
nonsense.
they do, like Talbot and Butler have massive battles against each other in the 100 Years' War at this point. Do you know? So it's funny, do you know? The whole Butler and Talbot feud, which is a part of the 100 Years' War. A lot of people put it in a kind of separate category, but I don't think you could put the Butler Talbot feud in a separate category without it making sense. Do you know? They're kind of like the DLC to the 100 Years' War with Joan of Arc and Talbot's fighting in France. Do you know? I had to leave earlier, but I agree an Irish version of this game would be awesome. Yeah, it would be class, all right. But I do have. If you go over to the, do you have Mountain Blade Bannerlord? Because they're making a DLC on that one set during the Wars of the Roses, so you always have that one as well. Do you know? Your Majesty, I have no problem with you. Just that bad. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's so strange. And because Henry VI, so Henry V has pooed himself to death. I'm not even joking. He pooed himself to death during the 100 Years' War fighting against the French. Henry V does. So his son, Henry VI, takes over. But of course, he's never in any position to actually run the realm of England. And so during the 100 Years' War, it's Talbot who's mostly running England at the time. And sure, Butler's at war with Talbot. So in many senses, England and Ireland is at war with each other because Seamus, the White Earl Butler, is the head of the Irish Parliament. He's Lord Deputy of Ireland. So he's running the Irish Parliament. But he's also at war with Talbot. But he's also loyal to the English king. Like, it's funny, you know. TY for suggestions. Yeah, look at Bannerlord, and they're making a Wars of the Roses, which, you know, I may or may not be working on when it comes down to the research and everything. Bum, bum, bum. I'll click on that one. Bum, bum, bum. I'm happy to pay for his services. Sadly, I think what makes this game so great is that it's a Czech studio doing Czech history game. Don't think we have any game studios that could do something like that. Mostly the Mountain Blade Bannerlord mods and the Mountain Blade Warband mods doing absolutely amazing. And also the mods for Total War Medieval 2 are quite good as well. It's mostly mods. Mostly mods are very, very good right now. Because, like, don't get me wrong, I'll probably at some stage do a playthrough or play stream or whatever you call it, playthrough of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But God, there's so many historical inaccuracies in that one, and it's the best we have. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not the worst game out there. It's mostly the clothing I have problems with, some of the architecture, but you know, could have done a lot better. But at the same time, it is the best that we have right now for a video game set in Ireland that's made by a AAA studio. Is definitely Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I think no, I don't think there's anything better. Yeah, mostly mods. Mods are very, very good. There's one. Ooh, what's it called again? It covers the Irish Confederacy in the 17th century. It's Mount and Blade, Fire and Sword. If you get that one, and then there's a mod for it, and it's absolutely amazing, absolutely terrific mod. I'm addicted to it. I'm not even the biggest fan of the 17th century, and I'm proper addicted to it. It's proper pike, shooting pike warfare, and you can get the Irish dressed up in their proper regimental clothing and everything for the 17th century, and plays the Irish Confederacy in it. You know, and it's amazing mod. It really, really is fun. Is there anything like true loyalty? It depends on their interpretation of the wider world at the time. The Gallowglass are always, from their interpretation of what is loyalty. I remember the Gallowglass have no understanding of nationalism. So, where today our understanding of loyalty is either family or it's okay. Our understanding of loyalty is either family or it's for country, right? Which is nationalism. Nationalism doesn't start to become a thing in Ireland until the 17th century. So before then, there is certain people that are loyal to clans and families. And then you have people like the Gallowglass, for example, who are more kind of loyal to the banner in a way. You know, they wouldn't even be loyal to the mercenary company itself, but sort of loyal to its own banner within the mercenary company, because you'd have the same kind of companies within a major mercenary company in the late medieval period, and they wouldn't, like, they would end up fighting the same companies. Sorry, the same, how to say, the same mercenary groups within the company. How do I word this properly? Because it's still the late medieval period, which is this era, is the era of mercenary companies and stuff, the late medieval period. So instead of like before in the High Middle Ages, when you're talking about Gallowglass and Kern, they're war bands. But in this era, after coin and levy laws come out, the Fitzgeralds with the Irish Parliament, not just the Fitzgeralds, it was the Fitzgeralds, the McSweeneys, the O'Briens, the McCarthys. They bring in coin and levy laws with the Irish Parliament. And so they they update all of the war bands into mercenary companies, exactly what's happening in Europe. But when and they're still fighting against each other, like they're still having full-on clan wars against each other as part of this kind of modernization of the mercenary companies. And all the mercenary companies have their own tower houses and do their own assemblies. And so you can go to a tower house and hire one of these mercenary groups. And the mercenary groups are loyal to themselves as a mercenary group, because what happens is that you could have a clan hire one mercenary group, and then another clan could go to the same mercenary company, hire a mercenary group, and they could end up fighting them, each other. I have to go find the correct Irish terms for all these words I'm bastardizing from Irish to English. But you get the jig to it. Like, they're loyal to the group, but they're not loyal to the mercenary company per se. And the Gallowglass aren't loyal to a particular family compared to the Irish, who, for the most part, are loyal to their own king group, not the clan as a whole, but to their own branch of the king group. Because you have to remember, sometimes you end up having brothers fighting brothers, but that's because this brother has made a different king group. And what a king group is basically his own branch with his own marriage alliance, fosterage, and people he's taken hostage. So other family members, so other clans, he's gone in, taken a hostage, and now that hostage, well, that king group is now loyal to him. So that's why sometimes clan on clan fighting, or even the same clan fighting themselves, makes no sense to us. If it makes no sense if we don't understand how king groups branch out of a clan, and then you have the clan as a whole. A lot of them will be fighting over, that title of Taoiseach, which is chieftain. Or if you're talking about the early medieval period, they're fighting over that title, Ri, which directly translated would be king, but it's still the equivalent of like either chieftain or duke or earl. Irish to English is funny. It makes things funny to explain. Bum, bum, bum. Where were the mercs coming from? The continent? The mercenaries were living between Scotland and Ireland. So if we're talking about the late medieval period, at this point, from Cork, which was very much a McSweeney base at that point, all the way up to the north, which was the north of Ireland, the Isles in between, which is very much dominated by the MacDonalds. They dominated a lot of the mercenary groups up there. Then you go up to like the west of Scotland, where you've got a good few of them. MacLeods being the most a very good popular group inside there. The late medieval period, absolutely fascinating. But there's still dozens and dozens of other mercenary companies. If you're talking about the late medieval period, is it me or the stream? Are you talking about why this is slightly slow? The stream is slightly slow, all right, because I'm going from YouTube to Twitch, and that's why it's slightly slow. And this is just giving me a warning that if I continue the story, I won't be able to go. Let's go right ahead. Oh, right. Anything you want me to go back over? I have no problems going back over now. Yeah, I think they are a part of Leinster. I always hesitate speaking Irish because I always have like a 10,000 people. First off, my Irish is absolutely diabolical. And secondly, when I do go to speak Irish, I mostly aim to speak Munster Irish, which is also terrible. Munster Irish is absolutely diabolical. I live in Asia, so I even
Let's go.
that. There's tons of people speaking Irish back home right now. So it's an absolute shame I don't put time into trying to develop my accent and stuff around the native native Irish language. I was trying to be all fancy there so people could tell the difference. What else was I yapping on about? Yeah, so that's why I try to avoid pronouncing unless what's his name, Dr. Owen O'Neill is there, because he specializes in the pronunciation of Munster Irish. So at least if I get the Munster Irish, I have a go off in the old Munster Irish, you can always have Owen O'Neill to make sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, or correcting whoever is trying to correct me. Because most of the time when I try to speak Munster Irish on streams and stuff, I always have somebody who speaks Leinster Irish or Ulster Irish correcting me straight away, which is kind of like, I'm always there going, did I get that right or wrong? Bum, bum, bum. But yeah, they should be both part of the Leinster. Because I know it's MacMurrough's branch that ends up dominating Leinster of that period. If it dips, it probably dipped for everyone, to be quite honest with you. Sorry about that one. Clicked the wrong one. It probably dipped for everybody, to be quite honest with you. Plus, I don't mind going back over it again, to be quite honest with you, because I'm very passionate about the subject when it comes down to the likes of Gallo Glass and Kern and all that kind of stuff. They are, but I mean, is that what you mean by the king groups fighting each other? Both of these are, yeah, they are, aren't they? They are king groups within the two. But they would be rival. It'd be like, well, first off, that's early medieval. I think they would be completely cut away from each other because Leinster's a province. So if we look at I think late medieval would be easier to explain. That would be the equivalent of the Burns and the O'Tooles fighting each other. They're two completely separate clans altogether. What I was thinking more of was, for example, if you had a branch of the O'Tooles and another O'Toole group, two O'Toole brothers fighting each other over the title of Taoiseach. And so it would be their king groups would fight each other to take that title of king group. Or cousins. You get cousins fighting each other as well. Ooh, what bug is that? Is that I hope that's not a poisonous spider over there. I seen something duck out there, and I'm like, you want to be wary out in Asia and stuff when there's something poisonous in the house, especially with the wife kicking about the place. It's probably just a lizard. Because if there's something poisonous in the house, I want to kill it before the wife comes home. Get out there and kill it. Boom. We're talking about king groups fighting king groups right now, and we're also playing an old game of Kingdom Come. I think we're about to go over to the monastic settlement. Da, da, da. Most of the things I learned about my dad's side of the family, I learned from my mom because my dad wouldn't talk about. Oh no, it's terrible. Was he like my dad and just didn't like talking about it? Like he just didn't have any. What was it called? Just didn't care about it. My mom, my dad doesn't care about history whatsoever. Just I don't know why. He just finds it boring, and it's so weird because he finds architecture fascinating. Like he's written books on Greek architecture and everything. Like still, when it comes down to me talking about history with him, just boop. But yeah, he gets his own by himself feel for it as well because he gets a lot of books on Rome and Greek and stuff, mostly architecture wise. You know, but when it comes down to actually having a conversation about it, no, just not interested in talking about it. I don't know why. I don't know what that's about. And then you have the old mother as well. My mom's always been super easy to talk about when it comes down to history. She's mostly into Tudor and late medieval and Renaissance history. That's kind of what she's really enjoys talking about and stuff. But yeah, my dad wouldn't be the biggest fan into all that kind of stuff, to be honest with you. The old family feuds. Oh, I happened a lot in ancient China. China. You talk about with the old feud fighting between the various families. I live out in Asia, and I've been meaning to get into Chinese history for quite some time, especially the Wars of the Three Kingdoms. I'd love to get into that one. Many people say that to understand Chinese history or just the Chinese people in general, you need to read The War of the Three Kingdoms in China. You know, it's just a must read. Must read. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, I got you. Thanks for clarifying. I guess the Murphys killed one of the McCartys who technically killed one of their own chiefs. Oh, did they? I'd have to look into the relationship between the Murphys and McCartys. The problem with the Murphys as well is there's a good few branches of the Murphys. And I don't think they ever like turn around and say, you know how like the O'Sullivans would break into like the O'Sullivan Moor and what was the other branches and stuff called? But they would give themselves like side names, you know. Moor is literally the only. It's the same thing. I was trying to use an example from the McCartys when we were first talking about king groups. And the only group I could think of is McCarthy Moore as well. I can't remember what the other side groups, the side branches are to both the McCartys and the O'Sullivans right now. Literally, Moore is literally the only one that is coming into my head. But I think you guys know what I'm talking about anyway. Bum, bum, bum. This looks like a good channel. Oh, nice. Hopefully I get a whole load more views anyway as I chat away and talk to you lads. I think you didn't want to talk about it because yeah, that wouldn't help at all, to be honest with you. I'm from the USA. I don't think they do, but I don't know. What were we talking about there? God, I can't remember. Bum, 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 bum. I have learned a lot. I have learned a ton of Irish history here. Oh, thanks, man. That's always the name of the game here. Talk and waffle about old Irish medieval history. The Fitzpatricks blended. Oh yeah, they did, didn't they? The Fitzpatricks, I think the Fitzpatricks are absolutely an interesting one because of the fact that they started off as Gilpatrick and then they became where most of the time we talk about, you know, the likes of the Fitzgeralds and stuff and how the Fitzgeralds became more Irish than the Irish themselves. The Fitzpatricks are interesting because, you know, they became more French than the French themselves. That's what makes the Fitzpatricks so interesting. You know, I would never say that they were anglicized, really, but they definitely became more French than the French themselves for a good bit, didn't they? The Fitzpatricks. Just as Strongbow is penetrating in there, the Fitzpatricks kind of brand themselves in many ways, you know, don't they? Like the Fitzpatricks. Yeah, Fitzpatricks are fascinating, absolutely fascinating. They were the heads of Usherga, and they just because of their location and the way they were kind of over in Kilkenny, kind of left out into the open, and like some of the top factions, the Norman factions, were definitely penetrated in there. Very, very rough, very, very hard. Like they had William Marshall smashing in there at one stage, like, and it's like, what can you do? You know, blend yourself in. That's all you can do, really, isn't it? Ah, yes, the Three Kingdoms. I need to seriously get into the Three Kingdoms. There's so much banter to be had inside there. Do you know? I assume you've all read the Three Kingdoms, and I haven't. Well, I've gone through a bit of the Three Kingdoms, not to the scale of my wife. My wife has all the books to the Three Kingdoms, and she has two because there's multiple interpretations of the Three Kingdoms, and I think she's got two versions of the Three Kingdoms translated into Japanese. So she loves it, and I haven't even got fully into it the way she has. You know, bum bum bum. Where was I? My Murphys are of Munster, the Munster Murphys. I remember the Leinster Murphys. The Leinster Murphys, because they branched out of Dacia. The Munster Murphys. You'd think I'd know more about the Munster Murphys because I went to school in Mallow with a ton of Murphys, like a lot of Murphys. But Murphys is a very, very popular, I think it's the number one most popular name in Ireland, do you know? The Murphys of Munster. I think the Murphys are even branched into like the Murphys of Mallow, the Murphys of Cork, the Murphys of Limerick. Because I am, anytime somebody's trying to figure out where I'm from, because I'm technically speaking, if I'm in Mallow and stuff and someone's asking me where I'm from and who my dad is, I always have to tell them I am his of Limerick. And that's where they're like, oh, are you related to so and so? And if they're asking me, first off, if it's anybody outside of Limerick, I'm most likely not related to them outside of Limerick, to be quite honest with you. No, don't get me wrong. I am related to people around Cork City, a lot of people around Cork City, and in Limerick as well. But I probably won't know who they are outside of Limerick City. But when it comes down to inside of Limerick City, there's probably a good chance I am probably related to them inside of Limerick City. But then when it comes down to Cork, it's so funny because my what was it called? Granddad had eight boys, and the only one that went off and had a whole load of kids was my dad and my dad's second brother. The rest of them, no interest in marriage. You know, they have interest. Don't get me wrong, they have interest in having fun and everything, but no interest in marriage. Funny. Same other Irish families did the same. Dermot. Yeah. Did they? That's interesting now. looking at this comment now. That one's a fascinating one, all right. Like, and it's also fascinating that you have other very, very good examples of branches that became kind of more French than the French themselves. I'm always very hesitant to refer to them as more English than the English themselves, especially going into the Renaissance, because a lot of those families end up fighting the English, do you know? So it's a funny spot. Is it true that the Fitz came from being a bastard child? Not that I know of. In Ireland, Fitz is mostly just for anyone that, as we're joking around here, role playing as French or is of, I would say, French heritage. I wouldn't say Norman, especially, what was it, last year, when your man from University of Liverpool brought out that book on the English invasion of Ireland of 1169. When he brought that book out last year, I think everyone's become very hesitant in using the word of Norman descent, because it is true. There's so many families that immigrated in 1169 and also in 1172 that were of, Anglo-Saxon descent, Frisian descent, Brittany descent, of course, Normandy descent, but also and was Anjou descent as well. So I would use the term Fitz for anyone that is either kind of role playing as French, that's Gaelic, as we've seen with the likes of the Fitzpatrick, or somebody that's of French lineage, do you know? French is a funny one. But that's in Ireland. If it originally started off as the bastard kids, that'd be interesting, because I haven't heard of that one before, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, I see it there in the next one. Bills. We'll go over these questions there before I head over. What was it called? 122. So we'll still have time to head over to the monastic settlement, but I'll go through these questions anyway. The dynamic feuds of Ireland are a bit dramatic. I love them. I think they're absolutely amazing. I don't think we always make out that it's like, what is it, 150 clans, never ending in their warfare. But that's just medieval warfare, full stop. We see the same thing happening all over Europe, to be honest with you. Like, if you ever looked at the map of Europe in the medieval era, especially Germany, like, Germany's broken into so many factions. But that's why we love medieval history, is this baron on baron warfare, a baron building a castle and then trying to defend it as he does his farming, That's why medieval warfare is so awesome. One of the best series on history of China. China on YouTube is the General History of China 100 episode. Ooh, I'll definitely have to take a note of that one. Thanks for putting that one there, actually. I'll steal that one for later. Oh, and what else we have? Munster Murphys are the model Murphys. Would you say so? Really? Have you said that to Miho from Clans and Dynasties? You see, I always imagined that one of the top branches of the Murphys were definitely the Leinster branch, because of the fact that they broke away from Dacia in Leinster in the 5th century while they were raiding into Wales and stuff. There's a lot of really funny mutations happening over there in Leinster during that period. But like, it's the same thing with the kind of Ulster territories as well in the 5th century, the way that they were raiding into Pickland, modern day Scotland, and into Britain, the way that you kind of have, the rise of the Ian up there, and you have the Ullid trying to hold on to what they had, especially with the Ian kicking about. So, yeah, Ireland in the 5th century is so fascinating. We know so little of what's going on, but there seems to be so much mutating and changing at the same time. The old Dropkick Murphys, the old Irish Americans. I love the Dropkick Murphys. They're class. What do you guys think of the Dropkick Murphys? The Murphy brothers in the movie. Oh, I'll just put that up in a second there. Boom, boom, boom. Bounce it back. Oh, you want to talk about the Northumberland again? Bounding back to the Ultra. What was that? God, how do I pronounce his name properly? Ultrid. Yeah, that's the one. He had a son. Oh, really? That's fascinating. Bum, bum, bum. I'll put that there for everyone else. When did the Flemish immigrate over? They came over from the 12th century. The only Flemish I know is about the 12th century that came in with the Norman invasion from 1169, and then there's another one in 1172 with Henry II. They definitely came in with the Henry II invasion of 1172. I'm not sure if Strongbow had any Flemish in his military force, but they definitely came over with Henry II for the 1172 invasion, as they call it, the Anglo-Norman invasion. The first invasion, quote unquote, is the Cambro-Norman invasion, which was the invasion done at the time. It wasn't called the Cambro-Norman invasion. It was just Strongbow's invasion, and his men in the literature are referred to as the Knights of the Marshes. The Marshes being the ones that are in Wales. Yeah, they weren't called Normans at the time. Oh, I did not know that. That's why you're so switched on to all that stuff. The old Murphys. Out of the 1 second. Out of this group that came in during the invasions of 1169, was there a background that was Yeah, that one does have a lot of strange ones. That's why everyone's so hesitant to using the term Norman now, especially last year. Like if you're in a debate and argument, you have to be even hesitant. If you're in like a proper debate with someone, if you don't want your legs to be quickly swept, you have to try to avoid the word Norman. Because of the fact that you're pointing out there that there's so many strange backgrounds inside there. To be safe, if you're in a debate, let's say online or in an academic setting, to be safe, you would refer to the 1169 invasion as Strongbow's invasion. But it's even funny on top of that, because you're referring it to an invasion, and yet David McMurrough hired him as a mercenary, And at the time, the Knights of Wales were referred to as the Knights of the Welsh Marshes. The Knights of the Welsh Marshes. So Strongbow's knights were not even called Norman. Okay, so many of them were of Norman descent. Not all of them. Even on top of that, not all of them were. So even that's a funny one to use out there, So many of them are referred to as the Knights of the Welsh Marshes, with the first penetration of 1169. The second penetration of 1172, identity in that military force, which was Henry II's military force, is so funny. And the reason why it's so funny in the King of England's force is because at that point he was pushing on and could even refer to himself as emperor, and that he was running an empire. But he can't do that because then he'd have massive rebellions kicking off in England at the time. His mother was referred to as Empress Matilda. And when she was trying to run England like an empire and trying to centralize it even more than what it was, the Anglo-Saxons rebelled. And the problem is that they had support of King Stephen from Normandy. He was the last of the House Normandy. And the thing is, House Normandy isn't fully extinct. In fact, one of the biggest branches of House Normandy at the time is the Sicilian house. There was still a House Normandy in Sicily. So if he annoyed his Anglo-Saxon civilians in England, they could easily not just rebel, but ask for assistance from House Normandy in Sicily to probably even try to usurp them for all Henry II. So it was easier for Henry II to continue to refer to himself as the King of England and his knights as, well, good chunk of his knights, which were the English knights, as English knights at the time. But it's complicated because you can't just call them all English knights, because he had French knights, and even on top of that, they're all branched into their little groups and stuff. It's complicated, and even inside of England, not all of them could be, fully recognized as English knights. What about all the Anglo-Saxon knights that, wanted to keep to the old system and all that stuff? Like, what a complicated conversation. To make it easier, we refer to, if we're having a modern conversation and it's not a debate where we're trying to sweep each other's legs or any conversation like that, if we're having a nice, simple conversation, we refer to Strongbow's invasion as the Cambro-Norman invasion, to keep it simple, and the second invasion in 1172 as the Anglo-Norman invasion. But that's to try to keep it simple, That's all modern words. I'll have to reach out to him. I've been getting big things. I'm working. Yeah, when it comes down to all that deep stuff, definitely pop over to Mihal from Clans and Dynasties. You should be able to easily find them, because all you need to do is click onto my page and then just scroll down to the bottom and you should see Clans and Dynasties at the bottom of it, on YouTube, that is. I don't have anyone on Instagram. I don't know what's going on with Instagram. That thing's never popping off for some reason. Bum, bum, bum. What was it called? I'm working on Leinster's Y. Surprisingly, the Leinster Murphys are the second. Oh, so they're the second largest. Roger that one. Is the Munster branch branched out of any Dacia? I am curious about that, especially around the 5th century and stuff. Or we don't generally think about. Oh, 1 second. Oh, yeah. Where am I going? I know it's not medieval, but I've been having to study the Broad Boys and the Dead Rabbits. Oh, you're talking about the Gangs of New York. Yeah, the Gangs of New York, absolutely so fascinating and amazing to study. Especially when that's just straight after. Well, it sort of is. It pretty much goes from, you have the William Knight and Jacobite Wars. 1 second, I'll main your one. You have the William Knight and Jacobite Wars in Ireland and Scotland. And so that whole clan war, medieval view of the world. I know it's, we're well into the early modern period with guns and all that kind of stuff and red uniforms of the British. But the Irish and the Scottish still have that kind of family center idea. Like, they don't really put nationalism first and foremost. And so it's so fascinating when you see them go to New York and bring in that kind of clan identity to New York, I love it. And it's still today, huge part of Irish American history is the clan warfare of the William Knight and Jacobite Wars. And then the fighting in New York with the Gangs of New York, and you can see that clan identity there, and then a lot of people do argue. Now, I don't specialize in American history, but so many people then argue that influences the American, what would you call it? I was about to say the American Parliament, but that wouldn't be correct. I can't remember what you guys call your government building. I know you got the White House and everything, but I can't remember where you guys do most of your business, what that building is called again. Because we call it the Parliament. I can't remember what you guys call it. Do any historical sources mention Irish kings having best friends? Ooh. You'd be going into the old cycles, like the king cycles and the Finn cycles. Well, funny enough, actually, the first one that clicked into my head there was Finn McCool and his relationship with the Rourke, the High King of Ireland at the time. I can't remember he's a famous one as well. I can't remember his bloody name. Come back to me, I suppose. Right, where was I? Why did the Irish hire mercenaries? Why wouldn't they hire mercenaries? Why did the Irish hire mercenaries? Were there not enough Irishmen to fight their own battles? But sure, they were. Okay, so you don't have, in the medieval period, you don't have a standing army. You know, the way we do today, where everyone has guns and stuff. So, there is there's no nationalism. There's no standing army. So first and foremost, when you're talking about the early medieval period, you're dealing with war bands. So you would obviously raise up the war bands. So there would be war bands around the settlement. And obviously they would do farming and stuff and so on and so forth. But within certain seasons, especially the cattle raiding season, from, what is it? Is it May? I'm sure it's May, all the way over to November. You'd have war bands that'd be wandering around the countryside. And if you're looking to attack an enemy to it or to that, you'd raise up, you basically call the banner and you basically, blow the horn or whatever you were doing. And you call in all of the war bands under your great hall. And you bring them in, and that night you'd feast and you drink and you so on and so forth. And then the following months and so forth, you go over and campaign against the enemy clan or tuda, as the correct word is, right? That's the early medieval period. In the High Middle Ages, you're kind of in this blur period because everything has to be modernized. And so these war bands are then referred to as mercenaries. So they're hiring these mercenaries then, you see. So there's a transition period from war bands to mercenary companies. You do have, it's not like they don't fully have their own, personal military. They do, which is referred to in the early medieval period as the King's War Band. And then that blur between the High Middle Ages to the late medieval period, they have what they call retinue, right? Which is, once again, anyone that's under the personal service of either the king, the earl, the duke, etc. But that doesn't go up to, a military force of 10,000. I wouldn't say 10,000, but at least like 2,000, 8,000 or whatever. If you want those big forces, you have to go higher that end, Now, there's an entire series of books that have recently come out now, and a lot of them do specialize in Ireland. The one that specializes in Ireland is, these books, by the way, are called From Retinue to Regiment. And it explains how the king's personal army over time got replaced. Because at the time, the king's personal army, the retinue, were very expensive because they were pretty much the special forces of the military force. They would be the equivalent of Delta Force, SAS, etc. Whatever special forces you're thinking of, right? That was the retinue, the king's personal army, right? Very expensive. Then suddenly, many of these retinues are being killed off by peasants going into the late medieval period. The peasants, the very, very low military force, not even like mercenaries, especially trained, retinue are especially trained, peasantry, although could end up making up the bulk of the military force and everything, which were in the sources referred to as levy. Most of the time, they're very weak forces. It doesn't take much to knock them over. However, especially in the mainland of Europe, the levies, the peasants, are starting to win major battles against retinue, which were going into pike formations, which you see in the Scottish War of Independence. You see the same pike formations popping up in, Flanders, and also in Switzerland as well. So they end up hiring more and more levies, and levies end up taking over from the retinue. So there ends up being more peasants than king's retinue, and they're winning battles. They're seriously winning battles. They're then winning even more battles when it goes into the early modern period, and it is the pike and shoot. So they're replacing knights and specialized mercenaries and all that kind of stuff, and they're just using more and more pike and shoot formations. They're made up of peasants, and they're training the peasants more and more and more. Okay, and that's the replacement. So they're now replacing very expensive military force to make, which was made up of pretty much a whole load of special forces, to now just the common working class with pike and shoot formations. And these are going into, because they're now trained. The difference between an untrained levy and a trained levy is the fact now they're regiments. They're regimentally trained now, so they can do way more killing than they did before. And so there's a whole series of books that are coming out now that explain the transformation of this, called From Retinue to Regiment. Brilliant books, absolutely brilliant books. There's a few books in Ireland that explain this transformation. And one of the top books right now, which I'm trying to get a hard copy of it, is Of Kearns and Gallowglass. That's the Irish one. Absolutely amazing book. Brilliant book, and definitely one to get. Okay, so the mercenaries in Ireland are Scottish and Irish. They're not foreign mercenaries. Okay, I know they are referred to as foreign, but the word foreign isn't the way we would use the word foreign today. They're kind of more like foreign to, the clan group, because they weren't in the clan. These were guys who were of their own group, because they were mercenary companies. They wouldn't live with the rest of the clan. They had their own castle. These were mercenary castles, and you would go to the castle and you would organize how many, military forces you wanted, how much it would cost. Most of the time it was down to cattle and stuff. So you would go to these castles, which were ran by other clans. There were clans that specialized in mercenary companies, such as Clan MacSweeney, Clan MacDonald's, and Clan MacLeod. They all specialized in warfare, basically, of the, late medieval period. Before then, all these same families were war bands. They just weren't organized the way they were in the late medieval period, if that all makes sense. How did a branch of Normandy end up in Sicily? Exiled? No, they went over. They were in, and that's bang on right. You got them there. Yeah, a lot of them, they weren't exiled. A lot of them went over to Sicily just before the Battle of Hastings. The Normans at that point were exceptionally just very, very, and it's no secret, which was the cavalry charge. So warfare in the early medieval period consists of shield wall and shield wall fighting. Charlemagne starts to specialize more and more in cavalry charges, knights, that smash into the flanks of the shield wall, which then opens up opportunities to flank the shield wall and just completely circle the enemy, and then start, chopping them up from there, which gives, huge advantages. When the Vikings come to settle down in Normandy, they pick up that art and they continue developing the art of the cavalry charge. So what eventually happens is, I wouldn't say the Normandy per se, but especially northern Franks, the likes of House Anjou, Normandy, Brittany, Frisia, that whole area dominates the cavalry charge. Even during the Crusades, they get invited over to crusading as well. So not only did they end up being dominant going over to Sicily, where they smash up the Muslim and the Byzantine ranks, they also go over to England, as we know with the Battle of Hastings. Scotland freaks out, and Scotland just starts hiring them and giving them land in the lowlands. Ireland smashed up as well. Obviously, as I was saying there, Sicily gets smashed up. The Byzantine Empire, they even go over to the Byzantine Empire and start smashing up the place until there's complications and they have to go back to Sicily. Then, obviously, you have the Crusades, where they go back to smashing up poor Byzantine Empire, which eventually leads to the collapse of the Byzantine Empire, but not until the Venetians go in and just sack Constantinople itself. Then you have them going into the Holy Lands with the First Crusade. And it's very funny because the Franks referred to everyone in the Middle East as Saracens, and the Saracens were a very small nomad group at that point, which eventually do become Syrians. So the Syrians and the Saracens, they were at the time were called Saracens, but the Crusaders start calling everybody Saracens. But it's funny because vice versa, everybody in the Middle East starts referring to every white man as the Franks, because the Franks were the most dominant ones at the time. They were the ones promoting quickest in the Crusader ranks and stuff, because they were just dominating the battlefield, and the battlefield was where it's at when it came down to the Middle East. And so everyone starts getting referred to as the Franks. The entire military force, instead of being referred to as Crusaders or anything like that, just gets referred to as the Franks. So yeah, ultimately it does come down to the fact that the Normans at the time, their cavalry charge was just so dominant, and on top of that as well, their armor, like, it was just riveted mail and gambeson, but it worked. And they were running around the Middle East as hedgehogs because the Seljuk Turks were going up to them. The Seljuk Turks specialized in riding up at the time with their bow and arrow and just destroying everybody with bow and arrow. And they had originally been influenced by earlier versions of the Mongolians and the White Huns. The White Huns were a different branch again from the regular Hungarians that we know of, the Huns that we know of in Europe. The White Huns were the Middle Eastern version of them. And so the Seljuk Turks were heavily influenced by the bow and arrow on horseback. And so anytime the Crusaders left their settlement, they were just being bombarded. But it worked. Like, their armor, like their whole shield was covered as a hedgehog. They were covered as a hedgehog. And they would just continue marching through the desert like. And so these guys were just, absolutely amazing. Like, they really got the job done. You use mercenaries to try and get an edge over your enemies. Yeah, big time. The Galloglass were so effective. So we were talking about the positives of the Normans, but at the same time, the Normans were absolutely terrified of the Galloglass. And the reason why they were terrified of the Galloglass was because of the fact, not only if we look at the effigies in Iona, we see effigies of, Galloglass having the heater shield. I'm talking about the High Middle Ages now. I'm not talking about the late medieval period. But in the 12th century, we have effigies of Galloglass with the kite shield, the shield, heater shield, and the spear. So we know the Galloglass were able to hold the line. And so when the Normans came in to flank them, they were in for a massive surprise, because not only were the Galloglass quickly able to get into a spear wall that was able to hold the line in the High Middle Ages of the 13th century, which we know of from the effigies. But the Galloglass were terrifying because they were quickly going in with Dane axes and hooking the Normans off of it. So previously, it's not like this was the first time they were dealing with the Dane axe. They'd seen that, like, they were using the Dane axe as well, the Normans were, but they were not using it to the professional standard of the Galloglass. The Galloglass were so effective of chopping up the Normans. Not only the horse, they would chop up the horse so quickly. They would chop up the horsemen so quickly. Like, they're compared to, earlier versions of the Dane axemen, who specialized in breaking up the shield wall as quick as they could. Now you had ones that were trained military-wise to deal with these cavalry charges. The cavalry charge would try to go in. You'd have spearmen that would, slightly keep the horse out of panic so they wouldn't penetrate in. But then you had Galloglass just out of there, just whack, cutting down the horse so fast, or even using their Dane axe to hook the horseman off so fast. And so when we look into English and Irish literature of the 13th century, with the arrival of the Galloglass from the Norwegian Scottish territories in modern-day Ireland and Scotland, those Galloglass mercenaries coming in, as part of war bands and stuff, were just so dominant, and they would continue to develop their weaponry and tactics going into the late medieval period and the Renaissance. It's not until we get into the 9 Years' War that we see the Gallo glass phased out. And it's very interesting that Jim O'Neill says that, the military force of the Irish would have been more effective if they just continued using them, And just pop over onto here. 1 second, I'll just have a quick look. Pop over that one. Yeah, it's funny. Anyway, where am I? I think of it this way: you do whatever you can not to die. Hire some extra muscle. That's it, because obviously on the base you do have the king groups and stuff, but they don't even do most of the fighting. The people that do from base level, the people who are doing the fighting, first and foremost, is the Oglok, the young cattle raiders who would do military service from the age of 14 to 25. So they would make up the majority of the Irish military force in the High Middle Ages, well, also the early medieval period as well. Then in the 13th century, you do have Clíodhna, who were the king's war band. But the Gallo glass were so effective that they end up they end up being hired and used way more than the Irish king's retinue, which were the Clíodhna, the king's war band. So the Gallo glass just end up taking over because they're just so effective in the High Middle Ages. And then when we go into the late medieval period, if we look at the likes of Kearns and Gallo glass, that book I was telling you about, you can see that military force completely disappears, Oh, nice. Got all over the place. And so I've got more info about the conical helmet found in North America. Ooh, that's interesting. All right, I'll just pop that up there. You need spears and hail to choke point and end up. Yeah, that's just a fact. Chop chop god. Do you know what? I started getting emojis and stuff. I don't know if you guys can subscribe yet or anything, but I started getting the emojis squared away and stuff. And if I can get, I don't know how many followers I need to get. I need to start getting followers on to subscribe and stuff. But yeah, there's unique emojis and stuff they were trying to get me to do. But I need to keep getting more and more subscribers to get more unique emojis and stuff. Right now, I think I can only get 5 emojis on subscription, and I don't even know if you can subscribe right now. Because of, let me actually have a go. Oh, the wrong one. But what was I yapping on about? Yeah. Emojis on YouTube. I get more and more emojis up and going. So I'll definitely have to see if I can get an emoji of the Gallo glass. Let me see. No, right now there's no subscription button. But I did apply for it, so I'm waiting for that one on the way anyway. The Gallo glass responded with a cheat code of their own. Yeah, they did, didn't they? They were just smashing around. Well, they worked hard, didn't they? The picture I have seen of Irish warriors, they all have very small shields. What's up with that one? That would be you get that one from the Book of Kells, and they would be cattle raiders, and they would specialize in dueling and cattle raiding. So they're not, cattle raiders are not designed for holding the shield line. Not all the time. They can be, though. You do have examples of Oglok having the likes of heater shields. You'd never see a fully trained cattle raider, Kern, with heater shield. And I don't know any example of Kerns with heater shields and stuff. But you would have examples of young cattle raiders and stuff holding the line, or, just having the heater shield or kite shield or whatever shield they're using that day. So you would have examples of them using shields to hold the line. But what you're referring to, I'm assuming, would be the likes of the Book of Kells and also illustrations from the 16th century, which show Kerns having a much more smaller shield, and they were not there to hold the line. They were there to skirmish the sides if you're talking about a conventional battle, or most of the time they were there to ambush smaller enemies, or even just to go cattle raiding, to steal cattle. Because in Ireland, the fastest way to get a victory is to make sure that person going into winter isn't having any food or resources. So the best way to do that, especially because cows are a huge part of the economics in Ireland, is to steal the cattle, you know? So just put that there, just so we know what's going on. Small shielders are better for close fighting than big shields. That's a fact. Yeah. If you're going straight into skirmish fighting, cattle raiding, or even skirmishing the sides of a shield, shield wall or spear wall or whatever you're looking to use, if you skirmish the sides of that and you're harassing and attacking it, you have all that movement. You can block you have to look at it from a boxer's interpretation. How a boxer moves. A boxer blocks, shield, sword goes in, so they're blocking. And a lot of these techniques that you see with boxers, the way boxers would block, and I'm not talking about the typical this style of fighting. I'm talking about more, hands out, using the front hand as parrying and blocking, and the second hand for getting those straight punches in. Those techniques are what I'm talking about when it comes down to the way the Kerns would have fought. Yeah. Pull out your guns. Right. Let's go. We had quite a good conversation there, but I ended up using up a good chunk of my gaming time. I was planning on having a good few parts to this anyway, so I don't mind sitting down and having a long conversation with lads. We'll have to get the subscription squared away as well. Next time now, remind me to go get water before I start this. I've been there dying for a bit of water for the last 2 hours, but there's only 4 minutes left, or 3 minutes left before I have to pop away again. Was cattle raiding, because it depends how much of a sadist you are. I would have considered it fun. I would actually consider cattle raiding fun. It depends what you're into, really, isn't it? 16 tourney. That's the last of the Gallo Glass, and you really have to go far to find the last of them. I hear the Teutonic Knights are in this place, so I'm really looking forward to seeing the Teutonic Knights here. You always want more cattle raiding stories. We need to go researching cattle raiding stories, so... I have a tattoo of an Irish warrior. Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the one. Oh, that Teutonic armor. Oof, I want. I'm a huge fan of the Teutonic Knights. If I could get some Teutonic armor by the end of this, I'd be over the moon. The Teutonic Order, huh? Bum, 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 bum. I love how we spent most of this and we only ends up having a preview of everything that's coming up. But those Teutonic shields and armor, like, whoa. The spear, I know, the crucifixion, and oh, I did not know that. That's quite interesting. All right, I'll pop that over here. Oh yeah, the graphics are exceptionally good. It's a very, very fun and good game, like.
Father Abbot.
friend.
Bit slow at times, isn't that? And it's just frozen on that side.
Christ be praised. Welcome.
Being relentless there, aren't you?
We'd meet again so soon.
But at the Italian court, I told you I needed to speak to His Majesty.
I know, of course. But after what happened, and now with what's going on here, nonetheless, King Sigismund has already returned to Hungary.
My friend, we both know your influence reaches well beyond the monastery walls.
And so does yours. In any case, you can gain access to Sigismund's court on your own. We both know how. That matter still hasn't been settled, Albrecht. The king cares
Who are
about
the
it.
sick?
Actually, forgive me. These are grave matters concerning His Royal Majesty. Can we speak privately somewhere?
I'd like that, but I'm afraid things are rather
How could they
complicated
have
right
got
now.
infected?
Well, what's going on, my friend?
Ooh, that's on the hard
You
side.
seem a little uneasy.
I am.
With
There are
a
three
attempt.
seriously ill patients in the infirmary, gravely ill, and I fear the worst.
The Black Death.
Sadly, we can't rule it out. And I say that as someone who's lived through one outbreak already and survived.
Well,
Bum, bum,
does it look like the
bum.
plague?
You think I'd be alarmed over nothing?
I was taught when I was young.
Forgive me, Father.
Your hands and your feet. Are you talking about your man from the Book of Kells? The way he's standing
Two
funny.
members of the monastery, Confessor Stephen and Brother Yaroslav, who works in the scriptorium, and one of the maids.
Your man from the Book of Kells has got a funny stance, all right. Like,
That doesn't make any
yeah, I should cover more about the tone, all right. Like,
sense.
When the plague strikes full force.
and what else about this one?
That's not what I meant. You said yourself one of the sick is a maid. As far as I know, women aren't allowed.
Does somebody in here have a medieval American
How could
accent?
she have caught it along
Who
with
do you think has the medieval American
Alas,
accent? I know Henry's actually British
Where would
though,
it come
so I don't think he's too bad.
Monastery is isolated. Few are allowed inside the cloisters.
Before King Sigismund decided to stay here, we took in many folk fleeing
Jesus,
his army.
hello.
We gave those poor souls food, shelter. Some of them washed in clean water for the first time in weeks.
And in poverty, hunger, and filth, all sorts of illnesses thrive.
On top of that, there's construction going on inside the church. There are all sorts of craftsmen and laborers in the monastic courtyard.
What are we going to do, Albik?
We'll go and see to the sick, of course. Then there'll be no reason we can't speak to the abbot in private.
Yeah, he's got an interesting accent, all right. Like, wait, what? I'm terrible at American accents. Where do you think his American accent is
My
from?
mission is to help those in need. And that risk is part of it.
Let's pop over there so everyone knows what we're talking about. 1 second.
Lord Pisek assigned me to guard you.
I believe he had other...
Because to be honest with you, I couldn't imagine, unless it's somewhere around
Be so sure.
outskirts of New
Thank you,
York or
Albert, for
something.
volunteering. I wouldn't have dared ask it of you.
No need to thank me. I'm a physician. And there are people here in need of help.
New York has got a fascinating.
those
The outskirts of New York, like, have a fascinating
If we
accent. Like,
can rule out plague, that may put your mind at ease too.
That's what I'm here for. And of course,
The old
I'm
Bronx
discussing
accent.
That matter of ours later on.
pop over
I'll have a
1
room
second.
prepared for you right in the infirmary. Brother Benedict, one of our novices, is there, and will tell you all you need to know.
Thank you. But I'd like to ask one small favor.
Can we
I've been here
save
many
there?
times before,
Bum, bum,
but Henry's here for
bum.
the first time. Would one of the brothers be able to
Yeah,
show
I can save
him
an
the
exit there.
monastery?
Boom, boom,
I'd
boom.
rather
I
he
can't
not
save an
get
exit,
lost
right?
like I did all those years ago.
Yeah.
Of course.
Right.
If you'd like, Henry, just ask Brother.
I let you
Benedict.
guys watch
I just spoke with
the
him
rest of this
before you
bit before
arrived.
it
He'll
breaks,
show
you know, it
around
goes to an
and
end.
gladly answer any questions.
But
We've
what
talked
I
long
need
enough.
to do now,
Let's
my
go.
thing must be funny because there's more people popping up in my chat than there is on
Henry.
people viewing allegedly. But yeah, I suppose it's a bit strange like
course.
that. But regardless,
Wouldn't let you go alone, would
I
I didn't
will.
think so.
finish up with there, guys. Imagine the monk saying, "Forget about it." For the crack. Right, I will finish up there for now. Obviously, I'm going to continue doing these live streams. I'll probably be back on again on Friday, right? So on Friday, I'll be back on again. And tomorrow, because I actually still need to put up the references and set that up tomorrow as well, which is going to be your Wednesday night. Wednesday night, we are going, well, Wednesday night in Ireland anyway, we're doing a live stream on who are the Anglo-Irish. So if you're interested in that, that's the Anglo-Irish who are on the southeast of the island of Ireland. We talked a little bit about that earlier today with the Fitzpatricks. So we'll probably go back over that again, the Anglo-Irish. But yeah, we're going to touch on that obviously tomorrow, mostly focused around the 15th and 16th century. So if you're into all that, definitely head on. What was it called? Just subscribe and be here again tomorrow. And not a bit earlier than this time, of course. I suppose it's about 4 hours earlier, I guess. It should be on the channel anyway. And what else do we need to bitch about? That's the Anglo-Irish side of things. On Sunday evening or night, depending on where you live, I'm going to be running classes over on Patreon. So if you want to support the channel for the time being, I'm still waiting for the subscription to pop on for YouTube. Once the subscription's popped on there, we'll sort out everything from there. It should be only $1 or something, and you should be able to access a whole load of emojis and stuff, and then I'll be able to get more emojis because they were like, oh, you need more subscribers to get more emojis and stuff. And that would be fun because I'll be able to get all the historical emojis and stuff up and going. So that'll be fun in the old chat. And then we'll be able to get everything else up and going, which should be really fun. And we'll be able to do that. And what else do I need the blast to do? So anyway, I'll talk about emojis in the future. So I'll be back on Friday. We'll see what, hopefully my emojis are back on and kicking then. I might actually be back on this time again tomorrow at the same time as well. Actually, I think I will. Do you know what? We'll do part 2 again tomorrow. And I'll be back on Friday as well. We'll do that actually. What else do I need to do? Oh, yeah. So Sunday night for you guys in both America and with the Irish as well. It'll be Irish night. And we will be doing Irish medieval history classes. What else do I need to bloody do there? And what else do I need to do? Oh, yeah. And that would be on the High Middle Ages. So the coming of, King John and all that kind of stuff. And that would be 20 quid a month on the Sunday. So definitely head on over and have a look there on my Patreon. So to access my Patreon, just go on to my YouTube channel and then just click on my Patreon. It should be at the very top. Or if you just want to support the channel for the stop. Anything else I need to answer? Anglo-Irish, an important topic to cover. Yes, and thank God we're doing it this week on this channel. So I'll be free all right this time. Not this time, a bit earlier. But I should be able to do part 2 actually for this live stream tomorrow as well. Anyway, is it Veterans Day? Oh, I did not know that. Yeah, happy Veterans Day, everybody. Other than that, guys, thanks for